Throughout your life, you've been advised not to push your limitations. The lines written on the chalkboard captivated his attention. Your wonderful idea, disregarded in textbooks, was silently poised to erupt inside you. Now that the hush has been broken, the shadows dressed as instructors are withdrawing directly into the comments. 3, 3, 3. Now, because you are the essence of limitless power, you've been told to keep tiny, but you have an unchangeable vision. Today, you discover the truth behind the scenes and declare your own grandeur. Listen to this, brother. Heaven has already inscribed irreversibly on the scroll of your calling. So, any strategy designed to disgrace you is certain to embarrass its creator. Instead, the person who had gained your trust set up a digital stage and played a glitter-stroke statement of dedication to a fresh new beloved, thinking that the neon shine would chase like a spear and send you scurrying back. Shattered pride in hand, they refreshed the stream as if each tap may summon a wail from your neck. They practiced victory speeches while counting the seconds. Your heart was intended to bleed. Imagine a weather-beaten scarecrow standing in an open cornfield at sunrise. Regardless of how many crows cackle above, the quiet guard protects the harvest because the promise of the seed outweighs the cacophony of the flock. Now, sweetheart, what seemed to be an innocuous status post was really a booby-trapped telegraph fashioned in the depths of insecurity and directed directly at your destiny. The creator of that idea waited by his flashing screen like a gambler at a faulty slot machine, hoping you would exchange your peace for worry. But grace, oh overwhelming grace, swung its powerful arm, threw up a holy firewall, and diverted the explosion before it could even reach your heart. Instead of launching fireworks over your home, a revelation storm swept into him. The females he juggled scribbled over the identical proclamation he'd put to set you off. They examined timestamps, sorted through email receipts, put together private chats, and concluded they'd all been reading from the same counterfeit script in the blink of an eye. Their uncertainty developed into an alliance. Consider them choir members in perfect unison, each adding a layer of truth until the whole symphony of deception crumbled. When the dust cleared, he was left in the midst of his living room, clutching a phone that wouldn't stop vibrating with messages, unanswered comments stacking up. Friendships fade like morning mist in July. Some responsibility did not just knock on his door, it kicked the hinges and parked on the sofa. Now, let's discuss about the gray shield. It arrived without sirens or blazing flags. It slid over your eyes like a soft blindfold. Perhaps your internet connection failed, or a last-minute task drew you away at the perfect time. Whatever occurred, heaven directed you down a side street as the wrecking ball smashed into the central area. You never smelled the smoke. However, the flames of exposure were strong enough for everyone else to see the burnt remnants of his mask. That's what occurs when divine timing intersects with spiritual physics. Crooked plots bend, righteous hearts rise, and the scoreboard lights up with triumph. You did not have to work hard for this. There is a lesson here. Family, no weapon fashioned against the purpose of the covenant will succeed. But it doesn't stop inexperienced brains from attempting to construct it anyhow. The serpent tongue strategy relied on your curiosity. He anticipated your desire for closure. He miscalculated your secret line to the royal chamber and the barrier of intercession that rings your name. Day and night, he forgot that a soul on assignment has an embargo stamp that hell even cannot overcome. So, as he set his stopwatch to track every love emoji and green dot notification, a larger clock was ticking above his own head, the point at which lies come back to haunt the perpetrator. If you have an overflow of heavenly love in your heart, now is the moment to express it. You may help spread God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and donating $10 or more. This wonderful gift will affect not just your life, but the souls of countless others via this platform. Each of you has a special role in God's big plan, and your giving will be the result of our prayers. Act now. Share your blessings to bring glory to God's kingdom. You were meant to do much bigger things in God's loving hands. May God bless you in God. The boomerang flew quickly. Because of circumstance, those ladies' sisters saw through his charm. They convened an unplanned jury, laying out evidence on the courthouse floor of group conversations and comment threads. They underlined contradicting dates, traded images, and realized for the first time that none of them were insane. They had merely auditioned for the same mirage. Then came the judgment, unanimous. Like pillars in a crumbling temple, their faith in him eroded. Shaking free every stale alibi he'd prepared, his online kingdom degenerated into a ghost town, with only unanswered tags echoing across the timeline. Meanwhile, you continued traveling purposefully, unknowing. Air remains unaffected, unstoppable. Your stream is full of favor, not drama. Instead of scrolling non-stop, you slept like a toddler whose father maintains a midnight watch instead of preparing comebacks. You cultivate thankfulness. You became live evidence that elevation is the finest way to respond to defamation. That when plotters build a grave beside your route, heaven transforms it into a seed bed and sprouts orchards from their wasted shovels. The moral: don't let petty theatrics rent room in a home designed for miracles. Let's move the camera for a second. Imagine the enemy's boardroom after the collapse. Graphs plummet. Strategies crumble. Panic spreads like ink in water. They replay playback footage in an attempt to detect the fault. But all they perceive is a halo of enigmatic light that protects your timeline. They use terms like data leak and unanticipated defensive increase. But they truly imply that we chose the wrong soul to meddle with. Because when your identity is sealed by covenant, your coordinates are removed from the enemy's GPS. They can screenshot shadows all day, but they cannot download destiny. If you experience God's presence, touch the join button below to be among the first to receive the most crucial insights. Now lean in. I'd want to decree something into the ambience you're creating. Emotional sabotage comes to a stop here. The same anointing that intercepted that one article is recalibrating your discernment for each subsequent attack. No more second-guessing your instincts. No more guilt trips disguised as care. No more spiritual leeches sneaking through your eyes. False alliances will be revealed before they form, beginning today. Manipulative love will taste bitter before it hits your mouth. You'll notice a trap by the twitch in your soul long before the net falls. Somebody is inquiring how I can manage this protection. Simple but holy. Keep your focus on the hills where your assistance comes from. Keep your heart clutter-free and maintain your limits based on truth, not trauma. The gospel of convenience has never rescued a single pioneer, but the gospel of alignment transforms deserts into wells. Treat your timeline as hallowed ground. If the material does not edify, educate, or exhale, peace is guided to the exit. Remember that your scroll is your shelter. Allow only covenant mates to sit in the front pew. And everyone who is wearing the villain's shoes should heed this compassionate admonition. Repentance is still accessible, but mercy's clock is based on grace rather than entitlement. You can't capture darkness and expect daylight benefits. You can't turn screens into spears without jeopardizing your own future. The same algorithm that reveals a falsehood may also enhance redemption. But first, the mask must strike the ground. Confession encourages recovery. Concealment begets catastrophe. We conclude with a promise emblazoned over the horizon where the chosen ones walk. When deceit shoots its arrow, truth turns it backwards. When sabotage plots your doom, sovereignty ends. It's the end. You keep cultivating honor and nurturing vision. Keep dancing on the pitch. The Lord has walled off for you. Let the enemies analyze your quiet and label it weakness. Heaven refers to it as strategy as they plan their next scheme. Heaven prepares your next promotion. Heaven increases your influence while they create illusions. So take off like a scarecrow turned eagle. Rise above the noise. Ride the thermals of purpose and watch storms rage under your talons. Remember the field lesson the next time malice publishes a headline that includes your name. Grace is more than simply a lovely wind. A Category 5 windstorm reroutes missiles back to the sender. And that, dear, is how accountability is written in sky-sized letters for all of creation to read. A lantern's brightness is never disturbed by moths. However, each moth indicates how light the lantern really is. Your brightness is based on that idea. Curious Shadows follows your mouse, takes screenshots, and records past timestamps, yearning for the oxygen of your attention. Their emptiness shouts louder than a stadium throng, and every explosion of obsession proves they are hollow once you are at home. Imagine a midnight lighthouse glowing through a thunder-soaked seashore. Ships alter direction the moment the beam passes over their bow. Despite this, the keeper within the tower never flinches in the face of the storm. Beloved, you are the steady keeper. They, the sabotage planners, believed they could cut electricity by flicking one secret breaker. However, they had no idea how powerful your soul was. It runs on heaven's grid rather than Earth's cables. They congregated like amateur meteorologists, examining photos of your birthday cupcakes and monitoring the timing on every business email you sent. They pinned colorful tags on a corkboard while scrolling through the praise music you posted after Wednesday night Bible study. Pink is for daytime duties. Blue represents conference calls. Green represents prayer. Time then drew red rings all over. The minute they calculated, your trust would droop. The hour they bet, your confidence might tremble in their secret group conversation. They entered projections such as the vulnerability percentage by sundown. Deploy emotional low-pressure front to those scrolling past. It seemed to be innocent conversation about weekend plans to the seasoned gods on the wall. Those emojis rang like church bells, warning of a midnight invasion. Understand that as a child of destiny, darkness seldom assaults randomly. It waits for patterns, observes respiration rhythms, and listens in on the sign you release when no one is in the break room. Your competitors used your history like a banker's calendar, underlining dates and emphasizing seasons. They calculated how many days it had been since your previous trip. Because deadlines are approaching, keep note of the time you log out of Zoom and when you switch from decoff to regular. They anticipated that exhaustion would weaken the fortress. That one meticulously planned post might get through your defenses, dig its hooks into your self-esteem, and suck you back into codependency. But God, who counts every hair on your head, also counts every minute on your calendar, and He is never late for His own appointments. On the same evening, they launched their ambush. Copy and paste, romance, photographs, and captions full of innuendo. Heaven redirected your focus. Perhaps a surprising invitation arrived in your mailbox, inviting you to mentor an adolescent who urgently needed advice. Maybe your phone's battery died at an unusually high percentage and refused to reset until the morning. Perhaps a little push instructed you to put the smartphone face down like a candle and focus on Isaiah rather than Instagram. Whatever shape it took, the diversion was not inconvenient. It was miraculous air traffic control. Your aircraft will be diverted around a storm cell building at feet. Dear brothers and sisters, God's peace be with you today. I'm here to remind you of a fundamental fact. Our existence is based on God's divine purpose and is unaffected by worldly worries. According to the Bible, everything is done with faith will be returned to God with great blessing. Luke, like the enormous oak tree, our roots are profoundly embedded in God's global truth. His power secures every stride and every stance we take. And now you have the chance to be a part of that gift. When you utilize the super thank you button to contribute $10, this movement will return to you 100-fold in abundance when you took your eyes off the computer and marinated in serenity. The plotters updated their feed as if they were addicted to gambling. They were confident that envy would stab you, that FOMO would pull your heart sideways. Yet not a single notice from you ever reached their phone. Instead, a different alarm rang. Unbeknownst to him, the ladies that circled his circus exchanged notes. Someone recognized the rehashed love phrase he gave her last Tuesday. Another person discovered the identical late-night work picture that he had sent hours earlier. Digital breadcrumbs merged to form a breadcrumb avalanche. Screenshots flashed via private chats. The timestamps overlapped too cleanly. His carefully managed fantasy split apart like a fallen snow globe, with glitter swirling everywhere under fluorescent light. That explosion of reality ripped shrapnel through every false promise he had made. Friends who had previously praised his highlight reel secretly unfollowed family members who supported his conduct. When he contacted his barbershop mates, he set his phone to quiet mode. Coffee shop friends, anyone who had agreed to his magnetism immediately saw through the fog because the identical magic show he prepared for your eyes failed on center stage. The silence that followed was not empty. It was heavy with responsibility, written in billboard-sized characters across the sky. If you experience God's presence, touch the join button below to be among the first to receive the most crucial insights. Listen to me like a Sunday morning preacher in Houston. You are not a delicate china sitting on a mantelpiece. You are forged, steel-tested in furnaces as hot as a Texas July. Can the steel still feel the flame? Absolutely. However, heat merely strengthens the alloy. As a result, when you lower spiritual barometers, mood swings occur unexpectedly. Acquaintances are probing with loaded small conversation. News feeds are loaded with subtle jabs. Recognize the weather pattern for what it is. Reconnaissance before to an air attack. Remind yourself who wrote the sunrise. Allow me to prophesy plain. Every false prediction about your demise is ready to backfire into a breakthrough. The same algorithm they used to anticipate your low tide will boost heaven's high tide when God publicly celebrates you. Screenshots used to malign you will be archived as proof of their own deception, and late-night conversations plotting how to shatter your confidence will become testimonials read at your victory banquet. So keep your phone in airplane mode. When the Spirit tells you to relax, be sure your praise playlist is louder than rumors. And if tiredness strikes, recall the porch light example. One bulb may illuminate a mile of darkness. Just because darkness has no wattage of its own. It leaches, it borrows, it imitates light, yet is unique. Like the calling within, you stride into tomorrow with that light up high. Allow gossipers to assume it's small conversation. Veterans of intercession recognize it as artillery on the right side of history. When the barometric pressure drops again, and remarks about your rhythms spread in back rooms, grin. The timekeeper has already changed the prediction. Storms come on time, but so does the rainbow. This is followed by an unequivocal indication that covenant always takes precedence over calculation. Even the message itself was hex-coded, with a color palette picked to jolt your crown's center, a caption calibrated to sap confidence, and a waning moon transit time to pull at skepticism. He believed hashtags were harmless. The practitioner who was guiding him knew better, mixing inverted psalms with algorithm tricks in the hopes that the brew may fly under your radar and sap creative energy. Your information is stored on a consciousness containment ledger within chambers where global strategists talk. After your third awareness surge, remote observers were dispatched, only to collide with an unseen bastion. Entry denied their report and labeled you an algorithmic outlier, one of whose neural pathways refused to map the counterfeit romance he advertised, which collapsed under celestial background checks, multiple hearts, compared notes, triangulated timestamps, and revealed they were reading carbon copies of the same sweet talk. Authenticity assessors from unknown worlds branded a gap on his tail. Within hours, the actresses form a resistance chorus. Once silent ladies joined arms, rewrote the story, and kicked his reputation to the curb. Ancestors from his tree, guardians of generational integrity, pounded on his dreams, holding ledges of abused love and withdrawing favor until remorse emerged in hush-hush bureaus where skilled empaths chart vibrations. Analysts observed a phenomena known as frequency collapse. in which your resonance rises like a rocket with never-ending fuel and his drops like a stone into a data chasm. Symmetry. This exquisite bloom does not happen by luck. It represents higher mathematics-based government. The monitor teams tried a surgical insertion into the solar plexus field. Energy thieves attempting to redirect prosperity currents. But spiritual motion sensing lighted up the red snapping cables before they clasped. Observers stay at a distance, pinning speculations about your firewall and unwittingly demonstrating its strength with each failure. When fate moves too quickly, desperation grows. The louder they're scrambling, the more obvious. Our confirmation pressure is merely chasing gems. What they misinterpreted as a vulnerability promotes your update. Emotional buttons were established years ago, now sit unattached, like doorbells that do nothing. When you enter your new code into their harvest machine, it coughs. Archaeologists unearthed a tablet from 7 millennia ago etched with a warning. Not the one who watches blindly, lest your foundations fracture like those chisels prophesied the earthquake. They worried that your narrative would create a precedent not via battle, but through frequency and environment, where manipulation technology short-circuits on touch. Each victory in Graves is a template for new light-bearers' shield algorithms, which were formerly unique to you but are now replicated throughout collective consciousness like open-source software, hardening every soul designated for this period. Spiritual engineers rebel from secret agencies and construct refuge networks based on blueprints discovered while analyzing your protection matrix. Their testimonials reaffirm an old promise. What benefits one, blesses many. Divine timing now arranges introductions that seem accidental to inexperienced eyes. Partners are tuned into your octave resources, which appear at breath intervals. Alliances consulted by Destiny's welder saboteurs try monitoring, but encryption prevents every handoff package designated for your vibration from appearing without GPS traces. Now is the moment to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. With a $10 payment or more, you may help him carry out his plan and become a part of this holy mission. Every contribution symbolizes God's generosity, and I think it will return to you enormously, far above your expectations. Remember that his protection and blessing are with you every step and every contribution. You become a part of his divine plan. You are a powerful, dazzling entity, as steadfast as his huge rock. Witness God's marvels. Feel the rewards of your kindness in your spirit, and light up the world with confidence and bravery. He blessed you and allowed the Lord's light guide your way. The Watchers, or probability tacticians, employed disruptors against these unions. The equipment flashed error signals that matched your birth numbers before dying. Recruits quit after having dreams about sentry angels warning them off. Polar auroras recently created geometric sigils in each hemisphere. Light books in the sky. Scientists scratch their brains. Wisdom keepers do not. This is the crest that adorns the protected ones. Your iris resembles the pattern taken in flash photography that unintentionally penetrated infrared CD manipulation flourishes in secret. You flourish in daylight systems founded on shadow protocols, which dissolve after years of examination. Each bullet they shoot becomes another chisel used to carve their own headstone. Thus they ascend with a straight-spined torch held aloft. The trap they set has swung wide, serving as a portal to worlds of undiluted brilliance and watch inertia. Kneel before revealing the purpose. Imagine an eagle flying over a rainstorm. Lightning strikes all around. However, its feathers remain unharmed since the currents that endanger sparrows only raise a bird designed for greater altitudes. Similarly, hidden technicians attempted to clamp invisible siphons into your power core, attempting to take the wattage that powers marvels. But the instant their instruments brushed across your field, alarms flashed across the invisible viewer's sharper vision. The breach has been flagged, and the task force is now studying your armor with bewildered eyes. as if they were mechanics gazing at rigid metal. The fight simply demonstrates how valuable the shipment is. Attack one torchbearer, and every lamp on the hill will blaze brightly. Each unsuccessful attack created a bigger immunity net for the whole community of awakened hearts. If you experience God's presence, touch the join button below to be among the first to receive the most crucial insights. A long-buried prophecy supports this claim. A clay document ancient than empire instructs shadow tacticians not to meddle with the listener who hears the preceding sound, guaranteeing that any such tampering would cause their equipment to self-destruct. And the script matches your frequency like a fingerprint. Evidence builds up. 7 expert operators who were originally paid to map psychic weather jumped ship when your signature short-circuited one of their most secret techniques. They now operate a secret refuge network, building countermeasures. They reverse-engineered after seeing your light shrug off artillery. Meanwhile, Heaven's logistical network is wide open. Genuine pals and genuine resources, true covenant partners, glide toward you via pathways that no satellite can track. The Snoop's dashboards stop anytime they try to track readouts trapped on your birthday's numerical cadence before the whole array shuts down. Even so-called watchers who specialize in pushing time frames present their premium disruptors, only to see circuit boards burst like popcorn. Technicians resigned in droves after seeing nocturnal images of sentry angels printing out halt and desist orders in a dialect that smelled like battle. While scientists rack their brains over twin auroras, they trace immaculate geometry over both poles. Spiritual cartographers see the identical theme flashing inside your iris sky and soul harmonizing in a single unbreakable covenant seal. So stand tall, beacon brilliant, since your vindication has now been recorded as precedent in every ledger in the invisible court. Manipulations fade the moment they touch your orbit and heart-linked connections. Weave an iron canopy. No frequency weapon can penetrate the scheme designed to drain. You ended up exposing the riders. The cage they drew became your runway. Go ahead, gate-wide ballast removed, and feel the rhythm of cosmic comrades matching your step while yesterday's hunters stagger in the dust of their own bewilderment.